Hi guys, Aceface back with another video for you, and I've got some more advice from the Hive mind, and today I'm going to go really back to basics, and hopefully I can make a video that potentially will help a lot of you guys that have just stumbled upon the video or are on your very early stages of being a Tyranid player, or just interested in playing Tyranids and just don't know where to start. So I hope this video will be of use for you, because what I want to cover today is around choosing your Hive fleet and choosing your colour scheme, because it's a really important part of being a Tyranid player, and it's something that can make or break your army. And I'll explain why it can make or break your army. Because when you start as a Tyranid player, you just think you like the models, you think I want to play that, I want to paint those type of models, but you're possibly in your mind not taking into account the long run and how potentially in a few months time are you going to get burnout through painting the same scheme over and over again? Are you going to be fed up with painting it? Is it taking too long just because you're putting too much detail in, or the colour scheme's too difficult to paint? Those are the sort of things that actually, as a new Tyranid player, potentially you're not considering. So hopefully this video will help you out with those factors. So let's go back to my experience. So when I started playing Tyranids, like a lot of you, I had my book and I was looking at the GW colour schemes. Now the colour schemes that you'll know are the Kraken colour scheme, the Behemoth, I can never pronounce it, colour scheme, and the Leviathan colour scheme. Now both very eye-catching, striking colour schemes, and both are achievable. But let me just give you some advice on those three colour schemes. The Behemoth and the Leviathan colour schemes are quite tricky to pull off well. So if you're considering those two colour schemes, be wary that they're actually quite difficult to achieve that kind of polished finish effect. The red and blue in the Behemoth colour can look a bit sort of tacky, it can look a little bit sort of too cartoony, I suppose. It's quite difficult to achieve that big contrast between the red and the blue. It doesn't always work very well, so be wary of that one. The Leviathan one, to get that very smooth kind of pinkish tone in the white skin is not the easiest technique to pull off well as well. Sometimes it will come across too chalky in the white, other times it'll look too pink if you wash it too much. It's not the easiest one. I'm not saying don't do these, because I'm not the greatest painter, and if you want to pull these colour schemes off, by all means go with it, but I'm telling you they're harder to achieve. The third one, Kraken, is the colour scheme that I decided to go with when I started playing. Kraken, I would say, is the easiest of the three, the nicest to pull off, and that you can achieve quite a nice finish on it. So if you want to go for a colour scheme that's documented by GW, I would advise on Kraken. But what I would say is, I got sick and tired of painting Kraken. I found it boring after a while, and it started to do my head in. And this is where you have to consider thinking about maybe going for your own Hive fleet. So what I did after painting Kraken for about a year, and I had about best part of 5,000 points of Kraken, I decided I wanted my own colour scheme. So I went back to basics and I started to work out how I was going to achieve a colour scheme that I could paint 25,000 points of Tyranids without going completely crazy. So these are my advice tips to you guys as starting your Hive fleet. The most important tip that I can give you is pick 3 colours. Do not pick any more than 3 colours. If you stick to the 3 colour Tyranid rule, you will get a colour scheme that looks effective. If you start putting more colours in, you will find it starts to look not as great. Let's put it that way. It becomes challenging. If you go less than 3 colours, sometimes they can look too bland. Now that is just a generalisation, and I'm not saying it's impossible to go away from that, but that's my experience. So when you take those 3 colours, my advice would be to go for contrasting colours, particularly contrasting colours in your skin or shell. They will give you a pop, and you'll find that you get a nice contrast there. Or you can go for two quite complementary colours in those two colours, and then for a very bright third colour to give you a pop. But these are the things that you can play around with. If you stick to that 3-colour rule, you'll find you can't go too far wrong. So that will be my basic rules. When you start painting, and when you've decided your 3 colours, if you try and prime as close as possible in your skin tone, you will find it a lot easier. So if you decide you're going to go for a red skin, you should prime your Tyranids in red, because what that will mean is straight away you have your base colour there. Then you can either dry brush on top of that, or layer on top of that, or you can wash down from that. But because you have that base colour on your skin, which is on the whole your largest part of the model, that is going to make things a lot easier. And particularly when you come to doing your mass gaunts, you'll find that that is a much more forgiving way to start you off painting them. So start off, once you've decided on your colour, whatever your skin tone or colour for your gaunt is, or for your Hive fleet, then try and find a primer or base spray that most complements that colour that you can work from. Once you've got that, then you're halfway there to producing your Hive fleet going on. Now that's how I would start it off. Then with your shell, you've got to make some decisions. How are you going to do that shell? Are you going to go for your feathered lines that you would have seen in some of my Tyranids? Or are you going to go for a dry brush finish? Or are you going to go for a layered approach through? Either one is absolutely fine, and I would advise that don't be scared to change within your Hive fleet, because as long as you use the same colours and you use the same tones, it doesn't matter whether you have some of your models with more of a feathered approach and others are more of a dry brushed finish. They'll still fit in nicely with your end Hive swarm, so don't be afraid to do that. If you decide that there are lots of other techniques that you can use your butterfly effect, which is demonstrated quite nicely in Idic Beer's Hive fleet. You'll see that when there's quite a few examples out there where you kind of use that kind of almost bug style to it. Other people go for the frog, the kind of tree frog approach, where you'll see like lots of little spots, and you can either do that on the shell or on the skin, and that works really nicely as well. So there's lots of different techniques and ways of doing it to research out there. But if you stick by those techniques, and you stick by the simple fact of keeping your skin as your base colour, and if you keep to the rule of 3 colours, you'll find it's much simpler and easier to get your Hive fleet out there. So I hope that those techniques and advice help you as you start your Tyranid fleet. If you've got any queries or things you'd like to know about that, or questions, then please do drop it below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. But until the next video, I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.